He also said that pestilences will characterize the final days of this age. Pestilences refers to epidemic outbreaks of highly infectious diseases and viruses. Jesus was not referring to seasonal illnesses or minor maladies, but rather Jesus predicted pandemics that will have a global effect. Do I even need to say anything about global pandemics? You know, global pandemics have been relatively rare in history. There have been large pandemics that have killed millions of people throughout history, but generally they've been rare, where long periods of time pass, in many cases hundreds of years, between pandemics. But in the last 100 years, the outbreak of pandemics have increased with greater frequency. Beginning with the Spanish flu in 1918, the Asian flu in the 1950s, the Hong Kong flu in the 1960s, to HIV/AIDS, the bird flu, the swine flu, SARS, Ebola, Zika, and our favorite one of all, COVID-19, and all the different variations of COVID-19. And now we are told that viruses are here to stay and that they're just a part of life and we need to learn how to live with them for now on. It wasn't like that before. We were never told that before. I was thinking just the other day, do you remember right as the COVID pandemic began in like late 2019, early 2020, before COVID kind of took over the news, do you remember the news was warning us about murder hornets? Whatever happened to the murder hornets? We just got so caught up with COVID and the pandemic. Whatever happened to the murder hornets? Should we still be concerned about murder hornets? Is that still a thing? Jesus told us pestilences will be part of life in the last days of this age. The next sign Jesus mentioned that is a sign of the end of this age is earthquakes. He says earthquakes in various places. Earthquakes have increased with frequency and intensity. Jesus said they will as you get closer to the Messianic age. And statistically, earthquakes have increased, especially large earthquakes. He says there'll be earthquakes in various places, implying there will be earthquakes all over the world in places that do not normally have earthquakes. 2 weeks ago, there was an earthquake in Sykesville. Sykesville! Some of you live in Sykesville, and there was an earthquake there. And we've all seen the horrific videos of major earthquakes and tsunamis that result from earthquakes in the ocean, causing a tidal wave to come ashore. In the scriptures, earthquakes are associated with God's power and God's judgment. In Isaiah 2:19, it says, God will arise and shake the earth mightily. During the tribulation period that is to come on the earth, the final 7 years of this age, Revelation tells us there will be several major earthquakes on the earth during that tribulation period. There's an earthquake described in Revelation chapter 6, Revelation chapter 8, 2 in Revelation chapter 11, and 1 in Revelation chapter 16. And the earthquake in Revelation 16 is described as a mighty and great earthquake as had not occurred since men were on the earth. And that's describing the future, the final 7 years of this age. You know, scientists talk about the big one that's going to come. It is going to come, and it's going to come during the tribulation period, Revelation 16. It'll be an earthquake like has not ever occurred since men were on the earth. And unlike world war or famine or pestilences, earthquakes come suddenly without warning, and they destroy and kill in an instant. Officials and scientists cannot predict earthquakes, but Jesus does. Jesus does. He told us the world will be shaken as it prepares for his return. He's going to shake this world. He's going to try to shake this world to get people's attention. In Hebrews chapter 12, verse 27, it says, all of creation will be shaken so that only unshakable things will remain. God is going to shake this world and is shaking this world to show us the only unshakable thing is Jesus Christ. He's the only unshakable thing. And in the Olivet Discourse, Jesus warned us of what to expect at the end of history. He showed us the signs to watch for that signal the end of this age. And I believe we're seeing those signs. I believe we're feeling the birth pains that Jesus describes and goes on to describe in chapter 24. Now, maybe 5 or 10 or 20 years ago, maybe back in the past, we may not have been sure if we were experiencing birth pains like Jesus said. You know, there were things that happened 5, 10, 20 years ago that we would look at and we would say, is that a birth pain? Kind of like the woman who's not sure she's having contractions. There were things in the past we'd look, is this a contraction? Is this a birth pain? Maybe so, maybe not. But now we feel the labor pains. Now we feel the labor pains. I don't think there's any question in anybody's mind. There are non-believers who realize something is happening in the world. Something has changed. And things are accelerating. They are happening with greater frequency and greater intensity. They're gaining momentum where it's becoming one thing right after another, right after another. And Jesus tells us these things in advance so that our hearts are not troubled by them. He wants us to know this. So that we can understand the days that we live in and so that we can make sense of what is going on in the world. And so, most of all, so that we trust in Him. So that we cling to Him. And so that we look to Him. Knowing that our redemption is drawing near. Knowing that this age is winding down. These things that are happening cause us to draw near to Jesus and hold on to Him. The hope we have in Jesus is a sure and steadfast anchor for our souls. Amen.